Greetings from the Casa de Single Wide News. Leroy here. I hope everybody is well this morning. I am finer than a frog's hair split three ways. And I'm serious about that. Because things are starting to come together that it's like one of those 3D puzzles, you know, like a Rubik's Cube, or the Rubik's Revenge. That's 4 layers instead of 3, or oh, that one I didn't even get out of the parking lot before I had that one fixed. The orb. Links. People will buy me these puzzles all the time. Alexander, Star. They buy me these puzzles. They did for years and years and years. I don't even know what this one's called. But they challenged me. If you can fix this one, if you can fix this one, you can have it. Well, ain't been one I hadn't been able to fix yet. It's just the way it works. I see the pieces in my mind. They swirl around. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. It's one of those gifts. And that's the way this whole thing's been with Trump. With this all of a sudden rush impeachment. With this weird, like the new Pearl Harbor, this attack on Congress, whatever. You know, after we've seen the cities burned down for a year and a half or whatever it is since Floyd, whatever, you know, whatever. Fentanyl Floyd, whatever his name was, I don't know. He overdosed. We've seen the destruction. We've saw Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or whatever flipping name is bring a whole slew of people into Nancy Pelosi's office. Just packed her office. She used it as a photo op with her green new steel or whatever in the heck that tax monstrosity was or is or whatever. But they're heroes. They're heroes. Justice Kavanaugh's hearing. We've got this star witness that 30 some odd years ago, not real sure about the year, not real sure about the house, not real sure about the place, not real sure how I got there, not real sure how I got home. And none of the people that she named, including her best friend, had any idea about this party that Kavanaugh was at, where him and one of his friends tried to molest her. Oh, they flooded the Senate chamber, beating on the doors, harassed them when they came out. I mean, they actually let the senators was all pushed in with all of these lefty peoples is hollering and cussing and holding an elevator door open and, oh, you better not confirm him. Oh. Why, he'll stop us from killing our babies. He's evil. But all of a sudden, some Trump supporters meet out front, and we know that the Antifa people, they've used facial recognition, you know, big horns and all this kind of stuff. They've used facial recognition to pinpoint these people. They've been at demonstrations, riots. They're on the Antifa website, all that stuff. They even picked up a guy from the BLM inside. Well, he wasn't charged anything, of course. He was just there to observe. Now, what the BLM stands for is very fine sentiment. Don't get me wrong. I think every life is precious, and I believe God thinks every life is precious, and the soul doesn't have any color to it, so don't go shaking your finger, hollering racist crap at me. Well, go ahead, I don't care. I don't care if you do or not. Been called that since Obama was in office, so that word doesn't mean anything to me. But if I like you, I like you. If I don't, I don't. But I digress. We've seen on the news this clash with officers and some people. Now, it's up close. I can't tell where that was at. Maybe it was right out there in front of Congress on that day. I'm not going to say that it isn't, because I was not there. I tried to make it, couldn't pull it off. And I don't want to encourage violence or condone violence of any kind. If you're breaking stuff it's not yours, and you're not defending yourself, then you ought to be ashamed and you ought to be prosecuted. Plain and simple. I don't care who you pull for. I don't care what political party, what religion, lack of religion. I don't care what color your skin is. It doesn't matter to me. If it's not yours, leave it the heck alone. If you want to peacefully protest, and I don't care where you want to peacefully protest, indoors or out, then that's fine. Now, I have seen videos of people that were there where the guards were opening the gates and motioning people through, and opening the doors and motioning people through, and videos of somebody trying to bust a window out, and Trump supporters around them hollering, "Hey there, Antifa, stop that." They've actually pulled them away, stopped them from breaking one of the windows. I know there was a window that was broken, at least one, broken completely out, and that's wrong. That's just plain wrong. And I'm not going to say that every Trump supporter there was peaceful. I don't know. I know if you get hundreds of thousands of people together, there's going to be some idiots in the crowd. I don't care what political party, religion, whatever. There's going to be some idiots in the crowd that's going to do some stupid stuff. But I also saw people walking through velvety ropes and chrome posts, not stepping off the path. Heard some of them hollering at somebody saying, "Don't tear up those statues, don't you deface anything." So they weren't all bad that walked in there, little old ladies waving their little flags, probably thought it was a flipping tour. Cops ushering them through. Now there's, more than one side of a building, there's probably plenty more than one door to a building. I don't know what went on every side. I don't know what went on everywhere. But to call it a new Pearl Harbor, and to take anything that the president said, anything before or after, as an inciting of violence, is bizarre. It's bizarre the way they're acting. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, but let me tell you, I've been in enough positions, very, very difficult positions, that I know fear when I see it. And what they're doing right now, turning the president off of Twitter and Facebook, shutting down Parler. They've shut the president down from every platform. Talking about impeachment, talking about throwing him out under the 25th Amendment. That's like if you get a bullet to the head or you've had a stroke or something. You become incapacitated. He's not incapacitated. They can't name a law that he's broken. They say he's a danger to the Constitution that they broke when they put Joe in. Article 2, Section 1. Watch my first video. 2 before this one, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But the pieces are starting to spin together now. And I'm hearing things. Nancy Pelosi has admitted that her laptop was stolen. And I don't believe in thievery. But did you ever hear of a Trojan horse? Did you ever hear that story where the Trojans gave, I believe it was the Greeks, this big gift, this big horse, and it was like they thought it was this big peace offering, and they pushed it up to the gate, and then the Greeks rolled it in, and they celebrated, and they got drunk, and inside that horse was a bunch of Trojans. And once they got all good and snookered up drunk, the Trojans come out and whooped their butts. Every last one of them. Well, what if, and I'm not saying that I've heard this from any reliable source or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. But what if that couple of busloads of A&T EFA had a few, I don't know, special forces kind of, people that had infiltrated them? Because this was the breach of those congressional doors, no matter who you think did it. That was a gift to the left. And they have picked that ball up, and they are just, oh, ho, ho, oh my goodness, how wonderful. We have a reason to get this president out, tick, 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 5 minutes early. Why are they so flippin' scared? What if there was more than Nancy Pelosi's laptop that turned up missing, that fell into somebody's hands that, what if all of them's laptops, while they were escorted out of harm's way, what if all of those laptops got collected up? What if there was information on there that they didn't want a certain high-powered individual that they don't like to have? What if the guy that actually wrote a virus to make these dumb onion machines flip some numbers from a D to a J? What if that person lived in Italy and swore on a sworn affidavit that he was part of rigging the election in another country that we might be particularly familiar with? What if that happened? Well, what if they just arrested the president of Italy? There's a lot going on. There was that server in Germany. That Italian guy happened to mention that they've traced these voting machines were online, and they've traced the path through these other countries to that server in Germany, and then piped it from there into the media that we were watching. What if? I wasn't there. Now, foreign interference, there was a executive order signed back 2018 before the midterm elections, not much before, but before that. And it kind of runs hand in hand with the Insurrection Act of 1804 and kind of built upon that Obama's, indefinite intention thing. What if you had that gun pointed at you? Would you be scared if you was guilty? If you were working with those people, if they all of a sudden ended up with the receipts that you was working, if you was in a high position in a particular government, and all of a sudden somebody that you cheated had the receipts that you were working with somebody outside this country to screw up what the people's will was, would you be scared? Would you be shutting down every single outlet that they had to communicate with each other, that they could communicate with a particular leader that they wanted to be in position but got cheated in some way or shape or form? What if? What if? And what if that executive order gives this particular individual, this DT individual, the power to send in armed individuals that work for this particular country to snatch these people up and take them into courts that don't work the same way as the ones that wouldn't look at the evidence beforehand, or the courts that wouldn't stop all the mail-in ballots and all the illegal things that weren't passed through the state legislatures and the proper process, that go against the state constitutions, that goes against the U.S. Constitution. If you were in that position, you'd be scared to death, because there's a word for people that do that sort of thing, and it's called treason. Did you know that it's not been just a few months ago, not been that long at all, that Mr. DT brought back firing squads? Pretty much any way you want to kill somebody. See, they were getting these doctors for the lethal injections and suing them for doing harm. Well, they didn't swab enough alcohol on it or something. Anyway, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, a life for a life. I read that somewhere. It was a pretty popular book. Yeah. I smell fear. I don't smell power. What was it that Sun Tzu, the guy that wrote The Art of War? You reckon the guy that wrote The Art of Something Else read that book? I'm just curious. Maybe. Show you look strong when you're weak and weak when you're strong, and then fall like a thunderbolt. Boom. Who's trying to look strong right now? The ones that are scared are trying to look strong. Why did it go this far? Why did it go Why? If you were in control, would you let this whole process go all the way through to the vote count? All the way through to the electoral vote count? Why would you do that if you were in that much power? What if you knew you was a lion surrounded by wolves and you couldn't trust them? You're in the dark. It only takes one knife in the back to kill you. So you want to know every enemy that you got. You want to know every single last enemy that you've got. You don't want one single soul left that can stab you in the back. Then you got to finish the game. A tu brute? Mr. Pence, you piece of crap. Well, now, the dealing's done. The cards have been played, and the dealer's about ready to flip over that ace. Got a king showing. And everybody else is falling short. And they know it, and they're scared to death. Now, I'm going to give you some personal advice. And this is nothing that I've heard. My skills have never been employed by the government or anyone else of political influence or military influence because of my ability to put things together. But if I was me, and occasionally I am, I would tell you to make sure you got enough food and water for a couple weeks. If you wear it's cold, some propane heaters wouldn't be a bad idea. Just get things that you wouldn't normally, maybe a little extra stuff that'll keep without refrigeration or power. I'm going to do that personally, and I'm just going to recommend that you do that because it's just a good idea. Because it's wintertime, power goes out, things happen. Fill your car up with gas, little things like that could come in real handy. And if I was me, I'd try and get that done tomorrow. Really? Because I think there's a storm a-coming. You ever been in a storm and you could feel the electricity, the hairs standing up on your arms? Well, I'm feeling that storm. That thunderbolt's about to drop. I'm not kidding. I'm confident. Now take it for what it's worth, and if it's worth nothing to you, you just blow it right off and throw it right away. But I see the pieces coming together. I see the pieces coming together. That DNI report, do you really think, after the Director of National Intelligence said that he knew for a fact from the intelligence agencies that China, that Iran, that Russia, and other countries were involved in messing around with this last election? Do you really think that the president doesn't have it? Do you really think that he left Washington, D.C. and went to an Air Force base in Texas just to hang out with the guys? Do you really think that the U.S. military was deployed to every single solitary corner of this country to distribute a vaccine? When we distributed flu vaccines, new ones every year for a long, long time. FedEx trucks pulling up to the hospitals. But the military's everywhere. It's like they're waiting on something to happen. You know, now I'm not going to get real preachy on you. But there's a story about this guy Moses. And he talked to Pharaoh of Egypt into letting his people go, and then the Pharaoh had a change of heart, and he decided maybe he didn't want to let them go after all. And he took them, Moses took the Israelites to the edge of the Red Sea as a dead end. Flipping dead end. Pharaoh's army, the biggest, most powerful army in the world, bearing right down on them, just bearing down on them. Some of them want to grab Moses, but we ought to kill you right now and just beg for mercy. But a couple of them walked up to Moses. Let us help you hold up your arms. You know he's tired, but we'll help you hold up your arms for prayer. Because God had a hand in this. And those seas opened up, and all those Israelites, old and young, and in between, they walked straight across. And as soon as Pharaoh's army got in the middle of it, right in the middle of the Red Sea, it closed in, and they never saw them again. Keep the peace and have faith, my friends. It had to happen this way. I hate that it did. It's had me in a ball too, but it had to happen this way. And we have just begun. And if you listen to what they're calling DT's concession speech, I didn't hear that word in there anywhere. He said there would be a transition to a new administration. He said his term as president was up. Well, 4 years is a term for president. Of course it's up. No matter who wins, 4 years is the end of that. Understand what I'm saying? And let's just say the person closest to you and several others have stabbed you in the back or tried to. They've turned on you. They're turncoats. They're traitors. Well, now, you're going to have, that would be part of your what? Administration? You kind of need a new one made up of people that you could trust. It'd be almost like draining the swamp, wouldn't it? I'm getting popcorn. This movie's going to end good. Now, y'all have yourself a great day. Love every one of you. God bless you. Keep the peace. Stand your ground. The weapon they fear the most, is our voices. So never, ever, ever give up your freedom of speech. Don't you cower. Don't you cower. Now, I got my weapons on hand. They at every corner. But the one I need right now, I'm using to talk to you. So God bless you, everyone. Now, y'all have yourself a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon. This is Leroy from the Casa de Single Wide News. Y'all have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day, and stock up, because you never know when the storm might be coming. Y'all take care now, you hear?